Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee with Bobbi. We've got Exploring Amanda Nelson here with us. Let me do a quick intro for you. Amanda is of Exploring Amanda. She travels in search of showcasing the best unique destinations for her followers. She has stayed in yurts, shipping containers, buses, all the way to luxury boutique hotels. Amanda is known for taking her own photographs and videos along the way, utilizing her tripod and inspiring independent travel. 3 years ago, she packed up and left the Northeast for Austin, Texas. And now you can find her exploring all of the hidden gems of Texas. And she's been doing lots and lots of travel that we're going to hear about since the lockdowns and COVID hit. So
thank you for that intro. That was amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on today. We're so excited to chat. You have got so many amazing things happening right now and going for you. I just saw a couple of weeks ago, you left your job, your full-time job, correct?
I did, yes.
And you went all in, diving in to now Exploring Amanda and this PR media company that you have created. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about
of course.
What you've done and how you've transitioned during this time?
Yes. So I was in the large space event industry and I was producing like 40 to 60,000 people in attendance events in Texas. And that industry isn't really happening right now. Nobody really wants to be in a room with that many people, right? So, and I don't blame them. And I have sort of been doing this whole travel thing very supplementally, very part-time for about a year now. And so when everything happened, I was like, well, we have to pivot, right? Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And I firmly believe that. So let's try to just like nurture what I'm actually passionate about and do it full time. And so I strategically worked on a plan to try to really get that, what does that realistically look like? Because I can't just quit right now. And so slowly working on managing with properties, managing my Instagram, trying to find people to help me do all of this, right? Because I'm only one person.
Right.
And the time came and I probably honestly waited a little bit more than I should have because I've been working on getting better at just doing the damn thing, right? Just do it. And yeah, so on July 15th, I filed my LLC for my media company that I now have. There are different umbrellas to that, and one of them being Exploring Amanda, and the travel aspect that you see me do on Instagram. So I quit and I'm pursuing my dreams, and I also coach people how to get paid to travel too. So it's a lot, it's full time, but I'm actually like, I wake up every morning with a purpose and I get to help people. I get to show people amazing destinations, but I also get to help people figure out how to do this for their lives too. So it's sort of two different aspects and I'm helping someone. So it's not all about me, which is good too.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, I could totally relate. So I was actually in the event marketing industry as well and going on the road doing all sorts of sports and festivals and everything. And you're right, you just have to pivot. I pivoted and my boyfriend's in the current state of realizing how to pivot. He's in the industry too. And
Okay.
now I'm doing more of the motivational speaking. So it's amazing. And you mentioned that, like you should have done it earlier, but in reality,
Yeah.
it happens at the right time. So even if you try to force it, it's still going to be at the right time today.
You're so right. You're so right.
So
And that's a good reminder too for people out there to just do it, but it'll feel right within you too. So that's a good reminder.
Exactly. And you have that purpose driven in your content. And it's always a joy when I see your photos because I'm like, ooh, she's exploring someplace fun
Thank you.
in Texas. So we were in Houston for about 5 months with my boyfriend's family. And I would look at your photos and I'm like, oh man, she's still traveling. And which has been our lifestyle for ages of like bouncing around to Airbnbs and hotels and different places for work. So we did the opposite and we're like, what is it like to live in one city?
Yeah.
Like some of these things that everybody else has done for years and years, and we haven't done it in 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, well, that's
With
good. I like the non-conventional, style of doing it a little backwards for some people because that's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah. And so, what about you? Have you always been a traveler? Did you just sort of dive into it this summer when you were reaching out to more properties?
Yeah, so I haven't always been a traveler per se, but I've always been places. When I was younger, I was born in Buffalo, New York, and I moved when I was 6. And then I moved to Pennsylvania, and I moved again when I was 12. And then from there, it's sort of been nonstop with experiencing different cultures. Even if it's one state away, the cultures are vastly different, as you may know.
Right.
And so I don't think I was consciously aware of the fact that I would never label myself a traveler, but because I was open to all of these new experiences and ways of living, I would say yes. It's sort of always innately been inside of me, and I'm slowly figuring that out now. Um, Lived all up and down the East Coast, Georgia, North Carolina, DC, Baltimore, and now Texas. And it's like every single time I'm just open these new doors to something new. Not only new people, but new food and new adventures and new climates. I mean, Texas is
Right.
hot. So
Especially this summer. You've been to like some of the hottest places in
I
this heat.
know,
I'm
I
like,
know.
how is she doing this? It's good. It feels like 115 outside.
Yeah, it's like a ton of water. That's how I do it, not to like pass out from dehydration. So yeah, but slowly, I would say within the past like year or two, realizing that it's so funny because when I was like when the internet first came out, my password to my email account was travel. And now I'm realizing, okay, like this has actually been something that has always been inside of me for such a long time. And now I'm getting to live it out and act out on my dreams. And so it's just so funny because the people who know me and family who've known me for my entire life, they look at me now and they're like, this is what you were made to do. And to hear that validation for someone who knows like my heart and my soul, it's like, you're
Right.
right. Why haven't I figured this out sooner? Now, because we have the opportunity that COVID provided, of course, a million bad things came along with it, right? And I'm not discounting that at all, but it wasn't an opportunity in itself as well. And so now I got to really like sit with that and figure like I am a traveler, and this can be my new identity because it's always been something that's been within me. And so trying to figure that out, and it's sort of been like a new awakening. So I would say it's been ongoing to answer your initial question. I sort of went off on a tangent there. But
No,
yeah, it's
that's great.
always been within me, and now it's just more prevalent.
Yeah, and you mentioned this too. Like, I'm a big proponent of this, and I've been saying this for months that, with this pandemic, everybody's looking at the negative side of it, but there have been so many blessings come out of it.
Mm,
And hands down, like for you, for me, like the event industry is
hmm.
nonstop go, go, go. And then just having this time to like focus on yourself and, you're
Yeah.
able to travel, you're able to go someplace unique, which is amazing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for sure, it's like the dream, right? And we're getting paid to do it. So, like, sign me up. Let's go.
Exactly. What has been one of your favorite properties or most unique properties or stories that you've stayed at over the past few months?
Are you reading my mind? Because I'm actually in the next couple days I have a post that's just completely dedicated to that because that's a question I get asked all the time. And so I couldn't answer. I was trying to like figure that out, on, whenever, every time somebody asks me, it's the same
Right.
thing. So I have two answers for you. One is the Bloom House in Austin, Texas. I don't know if you remember seeing me post about that, but it's like the craziest architecture. Like I cried when I got there. It was so amazing.
Yes,
So
I know exactly which one you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
like
Yeah.
the one where she cried. Okay. And then the second is the Wander Inn, which is in Round Top, Texas, which just, I mean, you're away from it all, but there's just so much energy there and you just feel it. So I really resonate and relate to places that are not only unique, but evoke some type of emotion within me, and it just sticks with you because you can leave the property altogether, but still come back to that feeling. And that's something that like money can't buy. So I tell everybody when
Hands
they're like,
down.
we're looking for a place, you know, what are the options? And I'm like, those two, check it out 100%. So it's not one answer, it's two. Sorry.
No, that's amazing. And it's so nice to see because when we travel for fun, we're always looking for like the off the beaten path properties. And
Yes.
that's exactly what you're sharing and sharing with your followers and also for the properties. So do you want to dive into a little bit about, we always see the one side of it as to what you're doing for the Instagram content for your followers. But on the other side of it, what are you doing for properties?
Yes, so it depends on what the property wants. So I have different packages, and do they want content only? Do they want content and exposure? So it really just depends on, you know, what it is that they're looking for in their own marketing strategy. But I work with properties a little bit differently that I work with cities, that I work with tourism boards. So it's very customizable. Again, it just depends on what they want. So what I do is we'll have a conversation. I'll send them over my tiers, my packages, and then they'll decide what's best for them moving forward. A lot of customization does go into it, depending on what my deliverables look like. So it's a tough question to answer only really because it depends on, is it, you know, a large property and they just really need content, or is it a mom and pop and they're like, we just need people to know that we're here.
Right.
So it really just depends.
And you bring that experience from the event industry into this
Yes.
because I know from personal experience, you go into everything as whether you're doing like Instagram lives or whether you're doing photo shoots, everything has to be set, everything has to look perfect, and you know what the consumers or the attendees perspective is on that walkthrough. And when you
Yes.
bring that to properties, I feel like sometimes that's sort of one of the things that's left out and the disconnect between hotel and hospitality marketing and what the consumer actually sees and what the consumer actually wants. So
Wow.
you hit this niche of like, I can bring you this value that you've never seen before.
That's so interesting because I've never thought about it from that aspect. And now I'm like, do I need to include this in my pitches?
Yes,
Because a lot,
save this,
yes, yes.
tagline.
Because a lot of properties that I work with, they see my Instagram, they see my stories, they know like sort of who I am, but they don't necessarily know that I have this large scale event production background, and I'm able to look at things and really tell a story with it. And you're right, I go in and I, even if the room's perfect, right? Like housekeeping just left, I will go and put even more finishing touches. And people don't necessarily see that because I want to do the best with the work that I have in front of me, right? I'm not going to be one of the people who just go in there and I'm like, here's me and here's one photo and I'm gone now. Like I do a
Bye,
job
guys.
100%. Yes, see ya. No, no, no. Like that's not how it works. And that's, oh my gosh, you're blowing my mind right now. That's so insane. I love that. Yeah, I'm going to start telling people that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, like, I was doing brand content marketing on the road when I was on an experiential tour. And like, I would be like, wait a second, this color is perfect. Stop the car. We've got to take a photo.
Yeah.
And the office was like, how in the world did you even think of this? This wasn't on the shot list. Like, how did you put two and two together?
The
Like,
creative mind, that's how.
right. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I even took hand balm and lotion on a helicopter ride over Chicago, somehow convinced them to get it on, to get a shot that made it on the brand's Instagram, and we weren't even allowed to bring liquids on the
Oh my
helicopter.
gosh, love it. See,
Like,
I'm
so those,
so, it's relatable. We're the same. You get
right.
me.
So those
Especially
little
because,
details.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, that's it. I was just going to say it's those little details
Yeah.
that make you stand apart from everybody else in the space.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I can relate to the like taking things and just kind of winging it. Because if you see an opportunity to get the shot, you're going to get the shot. And a part of the media company, right? One of the sectors is travel. One of the sectors is I also do brand photography for emerging brands. That is not necessarily the perfect studio lit photo, but I'm always traveling with like products with me,
Hmm.
because if I see some synergy with like this brand and maybe it's like more rugged, or it's like a granola like brand or something like that,
Right.
it could look good with this, with these mountains, because I'm all over everywhere, right? So if a good opportunity presents itself, it's like you have to be ready. You have to have that sort of in your back pocket. And so you gotta just do it for the shot. Do it for the
Exactly.
shot. Hey,
Exactly.
sorry about my
Oh, that's
dog.
okay.
Come here. Sorry.
I just saw where you have invested in a new property and you're now also doing all of the marketing at this new property.
Sorry, I'm just gonna go
Oh,
out
that's
for a
okay.
second. Our neighbor's dogs are like, ah, freaking out. So, hang on. Yes, I will. I would love to talk to you about that.
Yeah. Yeah, tell us more. I was looking into the property last night. It sounds amazing. So, where is it and what is your vision for it?
Yes, so it is in Texas, and it's an old building, right? So it is. It was built in the early 1900s. I want to say the teens, but I don't have a specific year. And we're restoring the entire building into a beautiful business, and I'm so excited. So the basement level, which basements are really hard to come by in Texas, so I'm really glad that they have a basement. We're doing a speakeasy, and the
Oh,
entire theme
nice.
is like the Roaring Twenties. So it's very Art Deco. It's very just, we want to have a glimpse into what that era looked like, Prohibition. So that's going to be exciting. And then on top of that, we're going to have an old soda fountain store. So the counter and the malts and the milkshakes and the whole thing. And then on
Nice.
top of that, we are going to have 4 Airbnb style lofts that are massive. And they're all modern, they're all updated. We're hoping to be on track to open this December, depending on the contractor's pace of work at this point. But yeah, I'm so excited. It's a great opportunity for Paris. There's just a lot of character, a lot of charm in that city, and so I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, not only are you doing PR and media for other properties, you also have this your own venture going. Where do you see that? Do you see yourself, focusing more on having your own style of properties throughout and sort of like Amanda's boutique line of Airbnbs? Or, where do you want to go with it? And I know it's still so early on.
It is, but what I'm thinking right now is there has to be something unique about it, and there has to be something that makes people go, "Oh, wow, that's different," for me to even be interested. So that's where we're taking it. The sky's the limit, but if it doesn't have that, like, "Oh, interesting" factor, I'm out. So it has to really resonate with the brand, no matter what it is. I mean, it doesn't even need to be property related. It could be just a really fun bar that's different or makes you think, or, whatever the case is, but it just needs to be different, because I am very different and there needs to be that relatability there.
Right. And it has to be on brand with you and what
Yes.
resonates with you.
Yes.
And like you said, I think it was last night's story that I was watching, where you're like, I totally turned down a brand partnership and sponsorship because
Oh my
they
God. Yeah.
wanted you to say that it was your favorite song. And I was like, this is the key of brand marketing right here. Like, if you can turn down something because it does not resonate with you, no matter the amount of money, like, you are so far better off in the long run than
Agreed.
selling out early.
Yeah. And I wish more people knew that. I think a lot of the times when you're starting, especially as like an influencer or as a blogger or any person in the media space, you're just like, I'll take whatever I can get. And that is the wrong mindset and the wrong attitude and the wrong like business strategy to have, because then what is your niche? You're just muddying the waters for yourself, and people are going to
Oh,
look at you and be like, she does everything. I don't want to do everything, and I don't want somebody to look at me and say, she's a sellout. She's doing the product that everybody else is doing because it's an easy couple $100. Like, no, no, no. Like,
Right.
I will never. So,
Yeah, it makes you stand out. And question for you on these lofts, like, are they full apartment style with kitchen, or are you just doing like large suite style?
yeah, so it's full apartment style. So they're all, I mean, you have like a full bathroom with a clawfoot tub and a stand-up shower and a vanity, king size beds. There are, and it's very like black and white tile, very clean lines, white plush comforters, things like
Oh,
that.
nice. Yeah.
So, but yeah, you have a full kitchen. It's the real deal, and it's not. And I like it because it's just for a building that was built back in the day. Like the rooms are able to be massive.
Hmm.
So it was perfectly planned.
That's awesome. I will
Yeah.
tell you this, I'm sure you already know it, but having stayed in lots of Airbnbs, and especially like when we were back in Indianapolis and we're looking at where we're going here in a few weeks, and once we return to Indianapolis, is, when we look at Airbnbs, and a lot of people are searching for like longer term stays right now, the kitchens is what's always lacking.
Oh yeah.
Like hands down, like you cannot find a sharp knife. I don't know, some days like you don't even have a can opener, and you're like, I
Mm.
don't really want to go out to eat every night when I'm staying here for 3 weeks, you know?
Yeah, or
Um,
don't even know anywhere nearby, or you could be in the middle of nowhere and the next
right.
door is like 15 miles down the road. So it's important.
Yeah. So that's one of my key things is like, what does your kitchen have? Especially when we're looking for long term. So
Yes, it's a good question to ask.
definitely, definitely. Um, so what's been having all these properties, and you mentioned like your favorite ones. What's been one of your most memorable moments? Because the other day you were hanging out with cows on a farm and having coffee with them. So what's been
Mm.
some of those memorable experiences that you want to continue to have as the years go on?
I want the gasp experience when I'm walking up to a property and it completely takes my breath away. That's what I want. It doesn't need to be in the form of an amenity. It doesn't need to be in the form of an architecture. It doesn't need to be in the form of what the room size looks like. It's the entire package and what that looks like for me and how it speaks and resonates with my soul. Um, it could be a hotel, it could be an Airbnb, it could be a freaking houseboat for all I care. It's when you walk up, and of course, you know what you're getting yourself into, right? Because you
Right.
know what it looks like, but it's just the wow factor, the just, wow, I just had my breath taken away. This is beautiful. Like, let's go do this. That's what I'm looking for. And you can't put it into words. It's just something that you don't really know until you go on site and experience that for yourself.
Right. And I feel like too, as you're creating your own properties now with that, you have more the ability to create that sensation. Because
Mm,
if it doesn't resonate for you, and you're like, what is everybody else going to think? So,
right, right.
like everything, all the five senses, the smells, the candles, you name it, how does it resonate? And that gasp wow factor is so key. I was just listening to Gabby Bernstein last night speak. I don't know if you're familiar with her or not, but she's a motivational speaker and does a lot on mindset.
Mm,
And one of her things was that the our joys that we have in life is contagious. So that the more that we experience joy and share it, the more others see it in their everyday life.
I like that.
And it's so true. So the more that each of us have that experience, the more that we continue to see that wow factor and awe and inspiration and creativity come out, the
Yeah.
more it is shared with others. And then, like, I see it, then I'm like, oh, well, Amanda explored this super cool Airbnb property. And you know what? I got to take a walk in fall foliage here in Boston, and it just brings that joy even more so to life.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That's so good. It looks like somebody's commenting. I'm just reading the comments here.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity. Yes, always. And then I missed it. Where is this again? I'm wondering, because we've been talking about a couple different properties, what specifically, which one that was. So she might have to watch the replay. Or Emily, if you're still on and you want to
Just
be a
leave a
little bit more
comment.
specific, yeah, I can answer that for you.
Yeah. So Amanda, you're in Austin currently. I'm in Boston right at the moment. So, and then most of these properties that we've been talking about are in Paris, Texas, around Austin, and Round Rock for the
Yeah.
few that were mentioned.
She may have been asking about the Paris, Texas lofts because we were chatting about
Right.
that for a little bit. But yeah, just Emily, if you're still on your property. Yes. Okay. So this is the one in Paris, Texas. If you actually go to my Instagram stories, they're still up because I was just talking about it last night. So that will give you a little bit more insight on that. It's called First Street Lofts. Go follow them on Instagram. It'll be fun. We don't have any photos of the actual property yet because we have a ton of photos, but they're not on Instagram. We're trying to like keep that a secret for a little bit longer, and then we'll throw it out there. But
Yes.
yeah,
Go follow that property right now.
yeah.
What are some end of the year goals, if you have any, or do you have more trips lined up currently throughout Texas?
I have on average 2 trips a week at this point. It's just like it's insane. I'm booking I'm booking like months in advance now. So end of the year goals are to keep my head on straight, not like freak out completely.
Right.
Try to find a way to clone myself. That would be really helpful. No, I'm really wanting to work on right now growing my audience because I think my content is great and I stand behind my content, but I want to be able to get that out to a larger group of people. And so really getting strategic on what my target market looks like, trying to figure out what that looks like for myself, for my brand. More followers is always great, but also trying to work with media outlets to help propel my story out a little bit more because I just don't have that reach quite yet. And I really want to get this really good information and these great properties into more people's hands on their phones, their eyeballs, the whole thing. So
Right.
those are my end of the year goals.
Yes. Creating your brand, having it is key. And,
Mm-hmm.
having that content. And you mentioned, like increasing the number of followers, which,
Mm,
yes, it does help from influencer and reach status. But I think we also need to put it into perspective for people who are watching, who are wanting to become influencers or content creators, that it's not just the number of followers, but the number of engaged followers.
correct. Correct.
And that is a huge thing. I don't know if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk at all, but he's got tons of insights on digital marketing and content
Mm.
marketing and tripling down on creating that brand.
Yeah, that's important. I tell my students that as well. I'm like, I don't care if you have 500 followers, 5,000 followers, it doesn't matter. As long as you have 75 to 100 people who are on brand in your corner, in your niche, and will support whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter, right? Because you have that core group of
100%.
people. And unfortunately, we're in the era right now where people are paying for followers and they're paying for this large audience when they're going and working with properties, and then it's like the property feels a little bit jaded and their return is just like nothing. And I'm like, well, that's because she paid for all of her followers. So
Right.
you're
Right. Did
throwing
you look at
information
the
to no
engagement
one.
percentage?
Yeah, no. So it doesn't necessarily matter, but my goal is to try to get all of this information out to as many people as possible who are in need of a Texas vacation or not even in Texas, right? Because we're gonna be exploring some other states as well, but just the coolest, like dopest, unique properties that I can find to work with and just getting that information out there because it's not only helping you find a place, but I'm helping that property owner get bookings and I have data to back it. And so this is a really good feeling.
Yes, 100%. You are crushing it. I know you're at that beginning level, and it's going to go so much higher for you, Amanda.
Thank
I
you.
can see it already, like the type of content that you share, the laughter, the joy is, I mean, just the quirkiness of the properties, and you bring out your own characteristics in everything. It's
Thanks.
so important, and we love watching it. Um, have you been reading any books or listening to podcasts or anything like that during or over this past year that's really been impactful to help you through this transition?
Yes. So if there are any books, I try to get them on audiobooks just so that I can actually listen while I'm in the car traveling to the next spot. But I've been relying heavily on two different podcasts over the past couple years, actually. And it's just during this time, it's just like every new episode, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. It's like fueling my soul. One of them is Manifestation Babe with Catherine Zankina. I've been listening to her for about 2 years now and just really helping me evolve in my mindset. And then the other one is Namaste Babe. And I'm very excited because she actually invited me on her podcast. So we're going to
That's
be
awesome.
I'm like fangirling out over here. She invited me to be on her podcast later in the month. So I think next month it'll come out, but I'm so excited because it's just like, I used to go, travel, and I still do, like listen to music or soundtracks or whatever, but now I'm just getting my mindset right and I'm learning new things. And as a leader in this space, you have to learn something new every single day. And so I'm trying to just do that through podcasts. And so those two I would recommend to anyone looking to just level up, know their worth, know their power, and just get a clearer vision on your mindset as a whole.
I'll have to take a look at those. And
Yeah.
you're so right. Mindset is key. You have to learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
Try something new, do something different so it's not the mundane Groundhog Day that
Yes.
so many people have been feeling. They're like, oh, it's just another day. No, it's not just another day. There's something amazing out there for you today.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
Amanda, amazing to look at you for guidance. Okay. Where can we find more about you? What are your social handles? Let's send people your way.
All right. So you can find me on Instagram at Exploring Amanda. And I did just launch a website I wouldn't necessarily call myself a blogger. I think I have a total of like 3 articles on there, if you even want to call them articles. I prefer to showcase my properties through video content. But exploringamanda.com if you'd like to check that out. And if you're interested in working with me as a student on getting paid to travel, you can go to my website or send me a DM. But Exploring Amanda across the board on pretty much all social platforms.
Okay. Facebook, Instagram, are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok.
Okay. Go follow all platforms. I know
Yes.
TikTok's actually been getting increasing on algorithm and views lately. So that's
Yes.
why I was going to ask, and it's super helpful over there for travel content. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for joining me today for Coffee, Amanda. It's been great. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with all of us. And hopefully I can come over to your property in Paris, Texas soon after you guys launch. It would be so much fun. I hope everybody watching has an amazing day. Go follow Amanda at Exploring Amanda. And that's another episode of Coffee with Bobbi today. Have an amazing day. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Bobbi.